What's going on, guys? My name is Renegade. Today we're here to discuss recent bans within the community. So there's been a lot of reports on the Blizzard forums for Overwatch regarding people getting banned for strange things like there's one guy who's saying, I got banned for playing Widowmaker and Hanzo pretty consistently throughout my competitive matches. People would get salty at me and then tell me that they're reporting me. I would ignore this thinking, yeah, no, you can't ban someone for just playing a hero. And I've talked about this before. You genuinely cannot ban someone for just picking a hero that people don't like. Sure, you'll piss players off. Sure, you know, an average player that could just do everything averagely, so just the average player base can generally play Soldier 76 better than they can play Hanzo. But if you've got a guy who sits there and says, look, I want to play Hanzo, I'm good at Hanzo, and your team goes, no, fuck you, play Soldier, then that's actually your teammates that are saying, fuck you, play Soldier, are actually more likely to be banned just at a pure objective level, if you're looking at it like that. However, players are getting banned because of the amount of reports they're getting. I, for one, have experienced this myself. So, as you already know, I've done an experiment where I played Widowmaker on cool ability combos, but it's generally never 6 by yourself without some sick players from your teammates. And so, to maximize every attack potential, possibility rather, you'll have to group up, and that means to stand behind cover, wait for your full team of 6 to be ready to attack, and then initiate. This might be different for certain maps. I'm going to be focusing on everything except King of the Hill for attack. King of the Hill is a separate situation. I might do a video in the future on that, although it's kind of a bit more messy with that mode, and it's a bit weird. But generally, on attack, on other maps, group up, wait for everyone, push then. Doesn't matter what your strategy is to push. Maybe it's slow and you got to take down enemy Ryan shield and then go in. Or maybe it's fast and you just charge the enemy Ryan with your Ryan and you initiate really fast with your Lucio speed boost. Whatever it is. Whichever one of those strategies you want to use, if it goes downhill throughout your strategy and people start dying, say you lose your Reinhardt, it's going to be incredibly difficult to push without a Reinhardt, especially if you've used no ultimates yourselves or you've got no like game turning play potential or whatever. If you've just lost your Ryan and nothing else has happened, the enemy might have popped an ultimate or whatever to do it, but you know, you've just lost your Ryan. It's going to be really hard to push without a Ryan, so the best course of action is usually just to back out. Backing out can save a massive amount of time. You've got to treat time like a resource, especially when attacking. And so this is going to save you a massive amount of time. So you've got to back out, wait behind cover for your Ryan to come back, and then try again. In the situation where that doesn't happen, so let's say you lose your Ryan and you just keep going, you can luck it out. You can, especially in lower skill ratings, you can strike gold if you want, and you can manage to wipe the enemy team without a Ryan. That sometimes can happen. But what will happen, especially in higher skill ratings, is the enemy team will overwhelm you. They'll have an advantage straight off the bat. They'll kill all of you, and if it's a low skill rating and that happens, what will often happen is they'll kill one of you, 10 seconds or so will pass, another one will die. It's a big, long, messy fight, and everyone's deaths are really, really far apart in terms of time. And so every single time someone dies and there's a big time between the last death or the next death, you're losing that time. That time gap is lost time that you could have had if you'd just backed out. And over 6 players dying all at once, well, there can be about 50 seconds of lost time potentially just because you didn't push together or die together. You have to push together. That's a pretty easy concept to understand, but you must die together. Going in as a group of 6 and then dying as a group of 6. That's a really, really important thing. You can make a push, fail, and back out within 20 seconds, but making a push, failing, and not backing out can take a minute and 30 seconds. So it's a really, really important concept to understand when to back out and when to regroup. Grouping up is not just waiting behind cover for your teammates to come back, it's when to back out of a fight and wait for your teammates to respawn. And that's a really, really important concept to understand in Overwatch. There's a lot more to it that you could go over. There's a lot more situations that might occur from that, but that's generally the way to go. Attackers, you need to remember that attackers always have advantage when they're attacking point A on maps, especially like Hanamura, Temple of Anubis, King's Row, maps like that. Those 3 maps in particular, the defenders have a really big disadvantage, and that's called the attacker's advantage, if you will. Sometimes it's the defender's advantage. I just like to call it the spawn advantage. Spawn advantage is when one team has their spawn much closer to the fight, much closer to the point rather, and they can respawn and get to the point way quicker than the other team. So for Temple Anubis, King's Row, and Hanamura, this is the attackers on point A. The defenders take about 20 to 30 seconds, maybe even 40 seconds for some heroes, to walk back to the fight. You know, some heroes like Tracer or Lucio have speed abilities, but generally it's between 20 and 40 seconds to get back to the point. Whereas the attackers, they take about 10 seconds to walk back, and for some heroes it's even less than that. So you got to keep in mind that taking an L on attack is not as bad as taking an L on defense. You pretty much can't die on defense, and I'm going to go over this in my defense video. But on attack, it's you pretty much if you die, it's not the end of